Maze Runner: The Death Cure is once more directed by Wess and brings back Dylan O'Brien, Barry fucking Pepper, Giancarlo Esposito, Rosa, Salazar, Scodelario, Thomas, Brodie-Sangster, among many other familiar faces for this cast for the final entry in the Maze Runner trilogy. And in this epic finale, Thomas leads his group of escaped gliders on their final and most dangerous mission yet. To save Minnow, they must break into the legendary Last City, a wicked control labyrinth that may turn out to be the deadliest maze of all. So I've reviewed both the previous Maze Runner movies in this channel, and while I was kind of a huge fan of the first one, and I was not so much into the second one, I gotta say, I have talked to a few people, close friends of mine who have read the books, and in my ignorance, I will kind of assure you that you will be satisfied with this film, because this film is definitely better than the second one. And unlike the two previous entries, when it comes to the ending, it feels like a satisfying conclusion. This film starts off right with the pedal to the metal, just like the first movie. Everything is happening. Cool action sequences, dynamic of characters, everything is moving very fast. They do not waste any time. Stuff is happening with the gliders and with them wanting to go on their mission. Stuff is happening in the city with Minnow being captured by Wicked and Ava Page and Teresa having betrayed them. So the first act is very solid, but then once they get to the city, things start to slow down a little bit, and that's when the pace of the movie kind of stumbles here and there. And overall, I will say the film stumbles here and there because it almost solely hangs on certain reveals and certain twists that are supposed to be huge surprises, and whenever they came out and said this stuff that was supposed to be a huge surprise reveal, I was like, I knew that all along. There is one surprise in this film that I was not expecting, and I don't know if this is in the book, so I'm not going to mention it at all, and I was like, oh, this is cool. Kind of, it doesn't make sense. I will warn you of that. But it is very cool. But Dylan O'Brien once more proves that he is a star. This dude is uber charismatic. He can do the action sequences, he can do the dramatic moments, and he has a lot of dramatic moments that hang on him. Not only the shots itself, but the drama, the way, the emotional stakes of the film are solely on him. And this dude can do both these layers of the character. And I will say this, the dude can be a very good action star in the future. He already looks like a man. He does not have that boyish face anymore. You can take this dude as a serious man, and he can be what Taylor Lautner could have been if Taylor Lautner could do acting and not just action stunts. And yes, this movie had a lot of production issues because of Dylan O'Brien getting seriously injured early on the production of this film, and this film was supposed to have come out last February, but turns out it's a pretty good conclusion. The last act of this film kind of feels clunky because it starts to feel a little bit too long, and the conclusion of the film itself also feels like it's dragging on a little bit. But I gotta say, as someone who is just a fan, thinks the first movie is a good film and the second one not so much, I felt pretty damn satisfied. And I gotta say, I did not care for any of the romances or potential romances in this film, but what I did feel for is the bromance. The bromance between Dylan O'Brien's Thomas and Thomas Brodie-Sangster's Newt. These two are so much to each other. You feel it, man. The emotion is there with these two. And there are things going on with these two in the film that kind of make you think of all they did together and for each other in the previous two films that really hit you right here. Aidan Gillen is also good in his role as Jansen, but he doesn't really have much to do until later on in the movie when he suddenly becomes kind of a big deal. I also gotta shout out Barry fucking Pepper, who unfortunately isn't in this movie much. And if you are going to watch this film for Catherine McNamara or Missandei from Game of Thrones, Nathalie Emmanuel, I forgot the name for a second there, don't. They're in this film for about 5 seconds. Literally. But what derails Maze Runner: The Death Cure from being probably a great film, it's that hanging on a few surprises here and there that just come off as obvious. There's something that this film hangs on so much that when they reveal it, I was like, I knew that from the moment the box opened with Thomas in there in the first film. And for a film that is so original in many ways, it does feature a lot of elements that are familiar that you've seen in other films. There's a moment with a spaceship that looks exactly like Aliens, there's a wasteland that is exactly like Mad Max, there is a city that is exactly like Blade Runner in every sense of the word. But the more I think about Maze Runner: The Death Cure, the better it gets with the stuff that really does work on it. The movie isn't necessarily too long. Maybe cut off 15 minutes of the film. The actors are good, but it hangs on too many characters when you only really care about one that really is the one that had development. It definitely is a satisfying conclusion, and that is why I will give Maze Runner: The Death Cure a martini. It is a good time, anytime. Doesn't quite reach the levels of the first one for me, but it's way better than the second one. And I think fans of the book will be satisfied, but let me know if I am wrong. Thank you so much for watching, my beautiful geekies. You guys are the freaking best. If you have read the books, let me know how different the movie is. If you have not, let me know how much you like the movie even still. And let me know your ranking of the Maze Runner trilogy. Once more, thank you so much. I will have reviews for the post tomorrow, and on Thursday, Batman Gotham by Gaslight with Captain America, the First Avenger, on Sunday. And so until then, you stay beautiful, you stay geeky, and if you haven't done so yet, click the subscribe button and the bell so you can be geeky united.